This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306.
We're getting slapped.
We don't want y'all to work anymore.
Welcome to this committee meeting.
Yeah, see?
Please ensure that telephones and other noise-making devices are silenced and powered off. The consumption of food and beverages in Senate rooms is prohibited. If you wish to address this committee, please be prepared to approach the lectern when public comment is requested. Identify yourself for the record.
There, take that.
Yeah.
Okay, subcommittee number 4, it's time to get going. It's 2:30. Carrie, why don't you take the roll for the record here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Senator Surville,
Here.
Senator Lucas,
She's online, I think. Louise, you there?
we'll come back.
All right.
Senator Obenshain, Delegate Kilgore, Delegate Munden King,
She's on her way.
on her way. Mr. Almond, absent. Mr. Mead Browder. All right, Mr. Chairman, we don't have a quorum yet. We're expecting Delegate Munden King, so we'll get started if that's permissible.
Go, all right. So first up on the calendar, we have a lot of bills to go through, and we have the director's update on the State Corporation Commission final order. So Carrie, why don't you take that away?
Good afternoon.
Go ahead.
All right, so in the packet, and we have a stack of folders here for the public as well, and this is posted online. We have a memorandum that we have put together with certain inputs from the State Corporation Commission staff with respect to the final order that came out last week on the Dominion 2025 rate case, case number PUR 2025-00058. And I'll make note, we have a number of staff from the State Corporation Commission here as well. This order came out on November 25th. Like I said, it was relating to the rate case that took up a lot of it gave us a lot of interesting concepts over the summer and into the fall. It is publicly available on the Commission's case system. And you all should have received this from the State Corporation Commission as well. So they did approve the new GS5 rate class for customers using 25 megawatts or more, including data centers. That goes into effect January 1st, 2027. They also approved Dominion's proposed minimum demand charges with respect to certain large-scale customers to be required to pay a minimum of 85% of contracted distribution and transmission demand and 60% of generation demand, among other requirements, with exemptions for eligible legacy customers. Furthermore, it sets the base rates for the next 2 calendar years. That is in the memo. I won't go through those. But it does approve an increase in Dominion's authorized return on equity from 9.7% to 9.8%, which is less than the company's requested return of 10.4%. Continuing on, the Commission directs Dominion to propose alternative transmission cost allocation methods to be examined in the company's next rider T1 proceeding. And there was additionally testimony at the hearing regarding Dominion's new interconnection queue process for large load customers. It directs the company to file its new large load interconnection queue process in a separate future proceeding at the Commission, and they anticipate that that proceeding will occur on an expedited timeline, and they direct the company to make the filing on or before February 2nd, 2026, so just in a couple of months. The Commission goes on to direct Dominion to continue monitoring customer service performance to ensure benefits of the new customer information platform, mobile app, and their redesigned billing systems, and that any issues are resolved. So this is not a comprehensive overview, but speaks to some of the provisions that we took into consideration as we were following the case from staff and making policy recommendations with respect to minimizing the risk of transfer of cost from one customer class to another. These provisions are key provisions to make sure that data centers and other large load users are indeed paying their fair share. So that is some of the underlying casework that supports our decision in the memo that we originally presented to you all to not have certain provisions around cost minimization in the policies we're proposing. However, we do have a variety of policies that we are proposing around strengthening grid reliability, as well as ensuring that large load customers are engaging in load flexibility. And that can include on-site and off-site solutions. So we have a number of policy solutions or recommendations for you today. That's the update from the SEC final order from Dominion's rate case.
Carrie, I had a quick question for you, which I think I know the answer to, but I thought might just be helpful to reemphasize. I noticed in your memo you said that the new rate class for 25 megawatt plus customers has exemptions for eligible legacy customers. If you can't answer this, I suspect Mead might be able to, Mr. Browder. But is it fair to say that non-data center large legacy customers like the Newport News Shipbuilding, the Hopewell Chemical Plant, maybe the paper plants, some of these other large industrial facilities that are using large amounts of electricity are exempt from the new rate class because they are
Legacy.
part of these legacy customers? Do you all know?
I believe so, but
I see Newport News Shipbuilding popped up in the back there. Maybe he has an answer.
I'll answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's our understanding, sir, that grandfathering for legacy customers for inclusion in the new tariff was not allowed. So we will, as Newport News Shipbuilding and HII, along with 7 other industrial users that are currently on the GS4 schedule, we will transition over to the GS5 in 2027. The grandfathering that was ordered by the State Corporation Commission was directed towards those minimum demand features. So legacy customers currently taking service in 2027 will be exempt from the 85% requirement.
So you're eligible from which piece? Sorry, exempt from which piece?
From the minimum demand features.
Okay.
But
you,
it is-
But you guys are being put in the rate class with the other large load users, even though your demand profile might be a little bit different than a data center.
That is correct.
Okay. Something you might want to look at. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Any other questions for Carrie on the, or anybody else who's here? We've got a whole bunch of SCC people here who could probably talk about this too, about the new rate case that was decided. Nope. All right, well, it looks like there's a lot more things to come out of that as well. So I know we had a lot of people legislating about issues that got resolved in this rate case. But I suspect this might generate some more questions. Okay. Is that it, Carrie? on
Okay,
that?
yes, that's
Okay.
conclusion.
Next up, we have the legislation that has to do with the merger with the Coal and Energy Commission we talked about a year and a half ago, that we sort of put on ice after the governor said he wanted 7 new appointments to our commission or something like that. So Carrie, why don't you explain where we are on this bill, which is in your packet, folks, and should be in the package online.
Yes, we have cover memos on all of the policy proposals we're sharing today, so it is in your packet with the Energy Commission of Virginia as our recommended name that we would be moving to. And the bill does repeal the Virginia Coal and Energy Commission and rename CEUR to the Energy Commission of Virginia, and it broadens the scope of our commission to include monitoring of the State Corporation Commission's regulation of both electric and natural gas utilities. So a number of the provisions that you see in the proposed legislation fold in natural gas utilities with respect to our purview. We have on, so that first shows up on line 20 of the bill on, sorry, we'll start with actually line 17 and 18, and then our line numbers may be slightly off based on the new version that we have, but in blue you'll see the provisions that are different from the version that we looked at last year. So the purpose of the commission is...
In blue on the red line.
The blue, I believe, is...
You're talking about the blue and the red line, not the blue on the screen.
Oh, right, yes.
Okay.
The
got
blue
it.
in your policy document.
Got it. Okay. Want to make sure everybody online understands what you're saying, because all they see is a big blue screen with a bunch of letters on it. So-
Yes, and this is
Okay.
posted on our website at ceur.virginia.gov. So the new purpose statement I will read. The purpose of the commission is to monitor the State Corporation Commission's regulation of electric utilities and natural gas utilities and examine issues relating to the production, transmission, distribution, and use of energy in the Commonwealth. So a number of the changes, again, as I mentioned, have natural gas utilities being brought in. We are also elevated to coordinate efforts with all of the various public entities that have to do with energy in the Commonwealth, such as the Virginia Center for Coal and Energy Research, the Coastal Energy Research Consortium, Southwest Virginia Energy Research and Development Authority. There are a number of these authorities that have a provision around wind, solar, clean energy, nuclear, et cetera. And so we have this provision in here to coordinate where it is practicable and further the purpose of the commission.
I have a question.
Kilgore.
The one thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around here is the word monitor the state corporation. Is there a better word we could use? That monitor seems like that we have some control over what, some control over what they do down there. And I don't know that. It would be on line 16. It's not new language, but I guess it's old language, so I guess it's already there. I thought it was new language. Never mind. Okay. We'll move on. It's already there.
Mr. Chairman and Delegate Kilgore, the question about the word monitor has come up recently as well, and looked up the definition, and I believe it is accurate in terms of the way that we are observing, receiving reports, kind of keeping tabs on, if you will, what is happening at the State Corporation Commission, so that we can help inform you all in your policymaking decisions. And you're right, it is in code currently. So that is really the volume of the changes.
Hey, Carrie, I know there was some concerns from some of the natural gas folks about scope. How was that resolved?
So there was a question around, again, where the word monitoring came up with respect to monitoring the development and implementation of the energy policy of the Commonwealth and the Virginia Energy Plan. So in our discussions, that language was previously in the purpose. We, to my recollection, have pulled it from the purpose statement, and it's simply showing up in the powers and duties of the commission to further our efforts to be holistic in nature and keeping tabs on, if you will, the developments that are in the energy policy of the Commonwealth, which is existent, in existence in code, along with the Virginia Energy Plan. And I believe we have folks here from the natural gas utilities that may wish to speak to that.
Yeah, okay, we'll get to that in a sec. Okay, any other questions from the committee members about this? Welcome, Delegate Munden King.
Thank you for that announcement.
I just want to note to everybody, Senator Lucas is online. She was just muted when we were trying to do roll call, so she's there. Yeah.
Yes, I am here, Mr. Chairman.
There she is, voice from above. All right, so no questions from the body up here. We're going to take a vote to endorse this in a second. Before we do that, I want to see if anybody in the public had any comment about it. I know there was some consternation with the gas community, but I don't know if we've gotten past that or not. Nobody's coming up? Everybody's happy. We have peace in the valley. Looks like a peaceful valley out there. Okay. So I had one change that I wanted to make to this, which I don't think anybody except the people up here will care about, excluding Mr. Browder. On line 33, folks, this has to do with the powers of the commission. Yeah, as everybody out there probably noticed, we were unable to get our subcommittee meetings started this year until August, because we had a hard time trying to figure out how to allocate our existing membership between the subcommittees and getting enough people that had enough time to work on all the stuff we've been working on. And so I was hoping we could put some language in here that makes it clear we can appoint some non-CEUR or Virginia Energy Commission of Virginia legislators to subcommittees to do some work for us outside of these commission meetings, because it's hard to get everybody here. So what I did is on line 33, I scribbled after composed of its membership, comma, other members of the General Assembly with expertise in energy policy, comma. If we could add that to the bill, then we could add some more people for our subcommittees so that we can actually get some things done. Delegate Munden King, I see you shaking your head. You can turn on your microphone too if you want. Are you good?
I'm good.
Oh, you're good. Excellent. Okay, you're good. All right. All right. Now, I wasn't talking about you. Anybody have any thoughts about that amendment?
Okay, now, Mr. Chair, I do have thoughts.
Because you've been doing a lot of the work. You're one of my hardest working members.
Thank you for that, Mr. Chair. Just a comment. I know that things are done very differently in the House and Senate, and so I'm a little hesitant about interjecting ourselves into the appointment process in the Senate. And so for that reason, I may not be able to support those changes. And so just want to share that.
So House members are defending a Senate process.
That is correct.
I don't care.
All right. All right. I'd like to make that motion. I think Terry said Terry would second it. Does anybody have any other conversation about that amendment? No? Okay. All those in favor of the amendment? Aye.
Aye.
There she is. And she sounds like she shot us with a space laser with her eye. A little bit of reverb there, Louise. Thanks. And anybody opposed? Are you opposed, Candy?
Yes.
Okay, note one no for the record on that. Okay, so now we have the bill in front of us. I just want to note that this would rename the commission the Energy Commission of Virginia. And we had talked about the Virginia Energy Commission, but then we thought that'd create confusion about the VEC with the Virginia Employment Commission, so we stuck with this. Although one person thought we ought to name this the Virginia Energy and Gas Commission, so it could be the KEGR or the,
Commission on,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but anyways,
We'll call ourselves, Mr. Chairman, the Energy Commission.
yeah, we stuck with the Energy Commission of Virginia. So anyway, that's the name that's in here. Okay, any other discussion? We have a motion to endorse this
Would
bill.
you just repeat it one more time?
The Virginia, it's going to be the Energy Commission of Virginia, the ECV.
The Energy Commission.
ECV, ECVA. Okay, the ECV. Okay, is there a motion that we endorse this concept for full commission? Yeah? Okay, there's a motion by Doug Kilgore. Okay, Doug King seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Thanks, Louise. Okay. Sure that passes unanimously. Next up, performance-based regulatory framework. The commission might remember this because we got a presentation on this last full meeting. And this bill evolves out of the report that the consultant, the State Corporation Commission hired on performance-based regulation. The concept behind this bill, I think, is basically just to keep things moving for the next 12 months on a lot of the recommendations so that we have some some actual bills and things to consider for the 2027 session. So Carrie, why don't you describe what's in this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you perfectly described it. So it takes the recommendations that the work group put very precisely into the authority of the General Assembly, and it takes those recommendations and establishes a new work group at the State Corporation Commission to design an effective regulatory framework to improve electric utility performance and develop related legislative recommendations. So we anticipate that if this were to move forward and pass, there would be a new work group, and there could be specific legislative recommendations that come out of that work group. And the bill goes through each of those provisions that was identified from the Great Plains Institute and the participants in the performance-based regulatory work group that the State Corporation Commission led. Do you want me to read through all of these, or these were covered in the report that was submitted to you all? It's been published for a number of weeks and looks at various clauses and evaluations for incentives. Performance-based regulation is really a mechanism to make sure that there's a balance in the system to make sure that the ratepayers, the utilities, and everyone is working towards the same goal, and there's performance-based evaluation to yield the profits and allocation of rates.
Can I ask a question? Yeah.
Question.
Just asking a question, and I've read this and I can't figure it out. So the State Corporation Commission, when they convene this work group, are they bound to take the work group's recommendation, or do they have some leeway?
Yeah, I had a similar question. I thought maybe the SEC might have some ideas about language on that to make sure we get this right.
Right.
But I don't know. Arlen, you want to come up and be on the spot, or?
For somebody?
Yeah, you might need have some others, but I had a similar question. So
Do you want to see a copy of the bill?
it wasn't, in looking at it, it wasn't clear to me who was in charge of this, whether the work group was in charge or the SEC was in charge. And, ideally, we've been trying to give you all, some power back to sort of make recommendations to us and, and also to use your discretion more. And the way this is written, it wasn't clear from the first 4 lines there, lines 4 through 7, sort of whether the work group was in charge of making the recommendations or whether the work group was working with the SEC and the SEC was ultimately going to make the recommendations. I don't know if there's
okay.
language we usually use for that kind of thing. So,
I'm ready whenever you are.
what are your thoughts?
Okay. The report that was made, most recent report on PBR, that also came out from a work group process. The Great Plains Institute was the facilitator. They put together the report. The report was the report of the work group, not of the commission, okay? And I'm looking at this language. I haven't had time to really read through it a lot, but it looks like the SEC, just looking at page 1, line 4 is the convener. And then it goes through all the things that are supposed to be looked at. And then I'm looking here at page 2, paragraph 6. It says the commission shall facilitate and document the proceedings of the work group, submit a written report, including any findings and recommendations to the chairs and so forth and so on. I mean, I would read that as, I'm just the first blush, I would read this as a report coming from the work group and not necessarily requiring the endorsement or the sign off of the commission. That's how I'd read that on first blush.
Right. Well, I think Delegate Kilgore, you were going to suggest that the SEC be the ones that recommend this, right? I mean, I kind of was having the same.
I was going to suggest, but
Yeah.
what language would we have to do that?
So you would like to have the commission make actual recommendations, policy recommendations?
Yeah. Based on what the work group.
Based on
Saying,
working with the work group,
Right.
of course.
I'd probably need to go back and talk to the judges to see, what their preferences would be in terms of figuring out language that would, on one hand, reflect the work of the work group, and on the other hand, make sure that the commission has some flexibility in terms of implementing whatever comes out of that ends up being endorsed by you all here at the General Assembly.
Well, you
Does that
have
make
until
sense?
Thursday.
What's that?
You have until Thursday, so.
Yeah. Delegate Kilgore. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll come back to Carrie with some ideas, hopefully.
Okay.
Does that answer your questions, at least for the moment?
I think so, but I think we're looking for language that sort of makes this the structure a little more clear. Because I mean, a work group, you can just stack it with certain people. I don't know how you document the consensus in a work group. Whether you fill a room with 30 people on one side and 2 on the other, and the 30 people says what we want, so the work group says this, versus having somebody who's in charge making the decision, and the SEC is typically who we put in charge of those kinds of things. And so, Mr. Browder, looks like, were you about to say something?
I would also agree with what you just said. But a question on paragraph 6 there, or subsection 6, maybe this is for Carrie and Arlen, both of you, but
Right.
in that last paragraph, the commission, that's the SCC,
Yes.
right, not this commission, shall facilitate and document proceedings, submit a written report, including any findings and recommendations. So That could be read, it's the commission's, SEC's recommendations, but.
Could be.
I guess that goes to Delegate Core's question.
Won't you put in there, including any findings and recommendations by the commission or something like that, so that we know it's the commission? 'Cause I
Right.
read that, and I didn't know that.
Right, I just don't know if, there could be changes like that I think that we could make. I don't know if there's if this has ever been done before, or there's language we could steal. We try to be consistent best we can year to year.
Mr. Chair.
But yeah, Delegate King?
The SEC has the ability to do this already, is that correct? If so I guess the question
sort
is,
of.
if
Yeah,
they wanted to create
three-
a work group to do this, and if you say wanted to send them a letter and ask them to do that, you could do that without legislation.
I could send them a letter asking them to do something. Whether they do it or not, it's a different issue.
I mean,
And-
it's you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
I believe if the chair of this commission asked the commission to conduct a work group, the work group would be conducted.
yeah, I get it.
And Mr. Chair, just one follow-up. And I say that half jokingly, but in all seriousness, I do think that we have asked a lot of the judges, and they have accommodated us pretty well. I'm a little hesitant to put into code, especially with some of the questions. Well, it's requiring them. Is that this?
Yeah, it's a law,
Yeah.
but it's not in code.
So, I mean, I'm a little hesitant to require by law, to do this. And, so when you can do it with just the request now. And then it is clear that the commission would be in charge of it.
All right, looks like Carrie wants to say something.
Mr. Chairman and Delegate King, the way that I read the report from the Great Plains Institute that was submitted differentiated between where there was existing authority within the SEC and where there was authority at the General Assembly. And so this bill, to my understanding, picks up on all the recommendations that the work group specifically gave to the General Assembly. Those included several more work groups. And so I think that is the question, because that report did differentiate.
I think the report said there should be 2 or 3 work groups, and it also said that the SEC should open, I think, at least 1, maybe 2 proceedings, rate cases, to do certain things. And I read that. I thought we shouldn't mandate further proceedings without understanding better what we were trying to mandate, which is what I thought the point of this bill was gathering a lot more information, getting a lot of smart people in the room to figure it out, make regulations before we start passing laws requiring things. That was.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is very helpful. This is what I think would get me to a yes. I think I've consistently here and in other venues, like us creating these new layers of stuff. But what I'm hearing is that there is maybe a desire to bring some other folks into the conversation. What could probably get me to a yes, and I'm just one person, is who is in the work group, who is selecting the work group, where are they coming from, what is their level of expertise, and especially with affordability, ensuring that some affordability champions are included in that.
Mr. Chairman, Delegate King, I asked Brian Pratt to come up because Brian coordinated the work of this work group. It created this report that is, triggering this legislation. I think it could be helpful to give him a couple of minutes just to talk about how that process worked, just to give you a sense of how the work group came together, how the facilitator worked and all that, so you just have a better sense of how we do it. So this is Brian Pratt.
Yeah, so a little bit about the work group process. Again, the legislation from the last session, which was, I believe, was SJ 47, HJ 30, again, directed the Department of Energy to facilitate a work group. So the work group was done by or facilitated by the Department of Energy, not necessarily the SCC. Although the SCC did monitor the work group and participated in work group sessions. We then hired an external consultant with specific expertise in other jurisdictions on matters related to performance-based rate making. That consultant took notes, consolidated the input of the work group over the course of the work group sessions, and then compiled that into a consolidated single report expressing the findings of the work group in addition to their own independent research, which informed their findings and recommendations, meaning the consultant's findings and recommendations to both the Commission and the General Assembly. And the report specified certain findings and recommendations to the Commission that they felt would be within the Commission's existing jurisdiction, and certain findings and recommendations that they felt would be, may require legislative initiative or changes to initiate. That's at a high level, the process. I'm happy to try to answer any more detailed questions, but that is how the work group was led and formulated and how it was utilized the last time around.
Right, Dougie King.
I just want to say thank you. That is very thorough, and I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we have a meeting on Thursday. We're hoping to endorse this. It sounds to me like we need some language to clean this up to make it clear the Commission's going to be making the ultimate recommendations after working with a work group. And then, Dougie King, did you want to make sure anything else is going to be included in the bill that Carrie's going to work on revisions on?
Sure. I think, Mr. Chair, I would just say that some specificity around the backgrounds or subject matter expertise of the working group participants would be helpful.
Yeah, especially to make it clear that we need affordability experts in the room, and because that's really what a lot of this PBR stuff's about. Okay, so Carrie, you got your marching orders?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, Dougie Kilgore, we're going to take public comment here next.
I was going to say, let's go.
Okay, anybody else in the public have anything they want to say about this? 2-minute speeches. We'll put timers on, folks. Anybody? Doesn't look like it, man. All right, quiet, peaceful valley out there. Yeah.
I would recommend we move it forward to the full commission with the provision that we address the concerns that Delegate King expressed and that I expressed about the SCC being the final,
Got it.
having the final say.
So Carrie's going to work on some edits in the next 24 hours, share them with you all, and we'll see them Thursday. All right? So is there a motion that we endorse this for the full commission? Subject to that, yeah.
Second.
Okay. It's like Kilgore firsts and King seconds. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? There she is. Louise is still shooting lasers. Got it. We heard you, Louise. Okay. We'll show that pass unanimous. Next up, number 5. Data center stuff. So, Carrie, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different data center things in my package, but only one agenda item. We're going to try and do all these together. Is that your idea?
Mr. Chairman, these are separate policy proposals that are meant to either stand alone or work in concert.
Okay, but they're all within number 5 on the agenda.
Correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand the agenda. Okay.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, these are all,
Right, so here, we got one about, let's see. We got one about reliability commissions for tariffs for large load customers. We have another one creating another SEC work group to evaluate how to deal with data centers going forward. We have another one about demand response. And then we have another one about delaying connection. So go ahead.
yes, and Mr. Chairman, we also have a timeline because each of these has, some of them have date references, and so when we get to that point, I'll show you a timeline of how they could work together if you chose to move forward all of these. So
Okay.
they're designed to work together.
Okay.
So option A is inspired by the Joint Legislative Audit and Review Commission's recommendation number 2 from the JLARC report that I'm sure you all remember that was published in December of 2024. This relates to strengthening grid reliability by clarifying the Electric Utility Authority to delay but not deny customer load additions. So this is in your packet under strengthening grid reliability. And I will say that this is ensuring that the SEC has the authority to establish interconnection standards to ensure transmission and distribution safety and reliability, which standards shall not be inconsistent with nationally recognized standards acceptable to the Commission. And in the biennial rate case, the SEC final order does direct Dominion to file its new large load interconnection queue by February of 2026. So before crossover in session, there will be more information with respect to how the utility, our largest investor-owned utility, is filing their new large load interconnection queue. We recognize that the U.S. Department of Energy's ANOPR, the Advanced Notice of Proposed Rulemaking from DOE to FERC, may have an impact to this policy, and so we recommend, in addition to the language that you see in the policy, that adjustments can be made to accommodate direction from FERC on load interconnection. So in the bill, this is under Section 56-234 with respect to the duty to furnish adequate service at reasonable and uniform rates. It's a simple provision in Section E that I will read. Notwithstanding the provisions of subsection A, an electric utility may delay the provision of service to a customer with demand that is reasonably expected to exceed 90 megawatts if such delay is necessary to maintain grid reliability, to maintain electric grid reliability, to avoid exceeding available generation or transmission capacity constraints, or to ensure compliance with load interconnection policies issued by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And then at our recommendation, we would add adjustments can be made to accommodate direction from FERC on load interconnection.
So, Carrie, so I'm clear, like right now, because the code doesn't seem to grant them discretion about whether or not to hook up or not, so maybe they could have already agreed to hook somebody up, and a different utility hooks up 2 or 3 others, maybe they don't know about it, or somebody, whatever, I don't know. I guess they all talk to each other, and PJM knows what's happening, but maybe we suddenly realize we're having really hot summers in 3 years from now because climate change or who knows what, and the grids become unstable, and somebody says, you know what, we think we might need to put pause on this one for a minute because of the grid. This gives them that discretion, whereas right now they might not. They might have to hook them up.
Mr. Chairman, yes, and I'll call on Anna, who helped develop many of these policies, to speak to that.
So to be clear, the SEC does have the authority to delay, actually, sorry, not the SEC. Utilities do have the authority to delay interconnection for transmission purposes. The gap remains in terms of a regulatory gap because of a lack of generation capacity. They do not currently have, like, it's not explicit, that authority, and so this bill is trying to address that.
Sorry, what authority do they currently have?
Mr. Chairman, what Anna just described is the authority is clear that they have the ability to delay if there's a gap in transmission capacity. This
Not generation capacity.
correct.
Okay, got it.
And I like to eat the frog first, I guess, as they say. I will say this is the policy that we've developed.
Before it boils?
That's right. This is the policy option that we've developed, again, inspired by JLARC recommendation 2. This is in response to the concern from PJM and many others around potential blackouts or grid reliability concerns in the near term.
Got it.
However, we understand that there are concerns that stakeholders have raised over this policy, noting the potential that this would further weaken the monopoly utility's statutory duty to serve without counterbalancing optionality for large loads to secure service from an alternative supplier if the utility cannot meet its statutory duties.
Got it. Okay, any other questions? Doesn't look like it. Okay, does anybody out there in the world want to come and give us advice about eating frogs? Nicole, you don't want us to eat frogs?
Well, I don't know. They taste like chicken, right? So I guess it's not too bad.
I wouldn't know, I'm vegetarian.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, Nicole Riley, Director of Virginia Government Affairs for the Data Center Coalition. Just briefly, in regards to this, want to reiterate DCC members are committed to supporting a reliable electricity grid for all Virginians, homes, and businesses. This first policy recommendation suggests that the rate of large load additions are a risk for the grid. But in reality, in Virginia, we have members whose data center projects are currently facing timelines of 4 to 7 years or longer before they will be served power by the utility. Some projects have experienced repeated delays. We would suggest that clarification that utilities can delay customer load additions isn't necessary. It's already occurring, and it's occurring without any SEC review process. DCC respectfully recommends that CEUR study how and why utilities are currently delaying interconnection to requested large loads, the timelines when power service is likely to be available to support economic development projects in locations across the Commonwealth, whether information on interconnection delays should be subject to an SEC review process, and whether a repeated and indefinite delay in interconnection is a denial of service. Thank you.
Anybody, Nicole ran away before we could ask her questions. Does anybody have any questions for her about that? No, I don't think anybody has any questions, Nicole. Okay, anybody other comment, any other feedback? Nobody, God, what a quiet group. If this was session, people wouldn't be so quiet.
Exactly.
All right. Carrie, something you want to say or no? We need to wrap this one up.
Do you want to discuss these individually or
Yes.
as a block?
No? Oh, yeah, you said you wanted to show how they'd all work together. So why don't you present the others, and then we'll talk about how they work together, then we maybe either vote on one at a time or in a block, depending on what you want to do.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I'd like to move that we move this one forward to the full committee and look at them individually.
Okay. So we're.
I don't want to disappoint you. I may not support all of these in a block,
Okay. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet.
but this one I can get behind.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody else cool with that? All right. There's a motion and a second that we endorse. London King moves. It sounds like
You said move it forward.
Kilgore seconds. We endorse
I'll
it.
second, yeah.
That we endorse it for full,
Moving it forward.
to the
not
full.
endorsing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Not-
Any other discussion?
Not there yet.
Okay. All those in favor of this one for the full commission, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Number 2, what are we on next?
Okay, option B, number 2, is again relating to strengthening grid reliability by requiring reliability conditions for future tariffs for large load customers. So this is the second item in your packet, under section 56-235.21, classification of service for certain electric utility customers and factors for approval of rates, tolls, et cetera. So this would require that any terms and conditions or modifications thereof for the IOUs or electric cooperatives, large load customers, that the SEC must mitigate the risk of jeopardizing the grid reliability in the state of Virginia, in the Commonwealth of Virginia and the PJM region. In deciding whether to approve terms and conditions or modifications thereof for large load customers, the SEC shall examine whether rates provide for equitable contributions to grid efficiency, reliability, and resiliency benefits, impede the electric utility's ability to meet renewable energy targets, allow for procurement of or contracts for generation resources that support the electric utility's ability to maintain grid reliability and meet the Commonwealth's clean energy goals, allow for procurement of or contracts for generation resources that support the electric utility's ability to maintain grid reliability, and meet other conditions that the SEC may require in the public interest.
Doesn't this just, didn't they just approve a new rate class that was supposed to consider all these things in the public interest and all that? I mean,
So this is not, Mr. Chairman, this is not a new customer class. This is relating to the terms and conditions for the utilities customers to demonstrate that there's whether or not to approve the terms and conditions of the agreements therein for the tariffs.
that's what I thought.
Anna, do you have anything to add on this one to clarify?
Mr. Chairman, I thought the SCC just approved
Right,
this
that's what I said.
exact issue in the Dominion rate case.
Right, that's what we're having. I mean, we had bills last session where people wanted to mandate by statute a separate rate class and put a lot of these bells and whistles kinds of things on it. And what we decided to do is let the SEC go figure it out. It just got litigated and figured out. So I'm trying to understand how that doesn't, trump what this is. I mean, I understand you're calling this terms and conditions as opposed to the rate class. It seems to me it's really the same thing, just doing it a different way. Am I wrong about that? And Browder does more of this kind of work than I do. I mean,
Well, it's only the terms and conditions, Mr. Chairman, that's part of.
can you turn your microphone on just so we have it on the record? Yeah.
Yeah, the terms and conditions, that's part of what was, in addition to the separate rate class and the recently concluded, and I'm looking at these guys to jump on me if I'm getting this wrong, but the commission approved a separate rate class that deals with the rates, but the commission also approved changes to the terms and conditions that was referred to, the minimum demand charges and contract length, minimum length of terms, basically risk mitigation measures. So that was also part of what was approved by the commission in the recent Dominion Biennial Review case. So not just rate class, but also additional terms and conditions.
So this kind of stuff is stuff they already have authority and jurisdiction over to do, if it's proven in a case.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it would appear that maybe some of the language here puts some specific sort of criteria or kind of check-the-box elements the commission should consider. It may be they're the types of things that the commission could already consider.
Right, got it, okay.
Yes, I think, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Browder, that's an important point that, this would go beyond the Dominion rate case that we just saw play out and would apply to other utilities that are serving large customers with an energy demand of 50 megawatts or larger.
Right, although I suspect that what the SEC does to Dominion are probably likely to do to
I was going to say the same.
others. Mr. Browder, is that right? Once they do it to Dominion large load customers, wouldn't you say they're probably likely to do it to the co-ops and APCO, et cetera, to have similar requirements for their rate classes, requirements? I know, actually, the co-ops already, some of them already have a separate rate class for data centers. And
There have been some co-op applications before the commission already, and I think they've been maybe not all approved, some have, some haven't, I think, I'm not sure, but again, terms and conditions of service as a general matter are within the commission's statutory authority as it exists currently. I believe, again, I'll stand to be corrected if Mr. Pratt or somebody think, Mr. Bolstead sees that differently.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right.
Should we move on to the next
I
policy?
think it's probably, I think probably. I mean, one of the things we've been trying to get away from in general was telling the SEC, trying to micromanage them too much. That was kind of a trend for a while. We were trying to go the other direction for a while. So, I mean, and let the litigation process suss these things out. So, yeah. So why don't we move on to the next one? What's your next one?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the next one relates to establishing a work group on load flexibility. So this would create a mechanism to facilitate serving growing energy demands from data centers and large load users while increasing participation in load flexibility. This one would happen as soon as this goes into effect, if this were to be passed, starting in July 1 of 2026, with a report required just a few months later in November 1 of 2026. And the work group would really look at programs such as demand response programs, but not limited to demand response. So it would recommend if demand response should be mandatory or voluntary, and the SEC would evaluate participation requirements in a demand response program with respect to whether it is voluntary or mandatory. And I'll have you just recall back to the Subcommittee 4 meeting when we heard from CPower and others on different types of load flexibility, including demand response. But the work group has various provisions in the policy as we've drafted it. It would consider, the various participation parameters, including minimums or maximums, the duration of the events, the number of events that can be called upon per year, the number of years that the program, if someone signs a contract to enter into a demand response program, how many years is that a commitment for? Notification period of if the demand response action is being called, what is that notification period? And to the extent necessary, if there are any penalties for not responding to an event. So what we heard in a lot of our interviews and research is that there may be one company that's participating in Virginia, a data center that is participating in PJM's demand response program, and there would be, I think, a lot more appetite for participation in demand response in Virginia from large load users if there were more precise agreements that were able to accommodate the needs and the business operations of how a data center is working or how a large load user is working. So the work group would assess the feasibility of both physical and non-physical technologies to participate in demand response, such as backup generation or storage, to what extent policy or regulatory measures are needed to incentivize them, the associated reliability of various technologies, health impacts, et cetera.
So I don't know if the committee remembers, we heard a presentation on this, was it last week?
November 10th, Mr. Chairman.
It seems like it was last week. But in any event, demand response is something that I think we really need to look at carefully given our grid problems. But what we heard is it's really complicated, as are a lot of these things, because not every data center is alike, and some can flex and some can't. And if you tell them to turn their electricity down, then all they do is turn on the generators, and then everybody next to them gets all mad, and then you have clean air issues and all that. And so anyway, it's something we need to look at, but it is extraordinarily complicated. I think Senator Rome put in a bill about this last year. It got heavily edited, but it turned into something smaller than this, but similar to this, that the governor vetoed. And now that we've had a chance to look at it, think about it, hear from stakeholders, et cetera, we realize we need to do something, but it's really complicated. We want some smart people to go figure it out and give us some advice. And then we'll work on it in 2027, because it's something we definitely, and it was also a JLARC recommendation, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think JLARC said, as part of the data center report, demand response needs to be something we look at, but we don't want to mess up. Committee got it? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and this would be a 2026 project.
For the 2027 session in all likelihood, yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Any feedback from the committee? Any thoughts from the committee about it? Any questions? Sounds good.
Just one question.
Yeah, Mr. Browner.
I was curious how you view this would relate to the technical conference, the commission
Yeah.
on load flexibility that I believe is meeting next week or week after next.
Yeah.
And that existing docket they have looking at large load issues. Do you see these relating, being separate tracks? Just curious about that.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Browder, thank you for that question. And we, I believe, mentioned this in our slides on November 10th when we presented, recognizing that the SEC is going to be hosting that one-day technical conference on December 12th. They similarly held a conference last year around data center load growth. And we see this as building on the outcomes and the outputs from that process and hopefully synthesizing in a clear manner what needs to come back to the legislature with respect to recommendations around any policy recommendations that a work group would take a lot of those inputs that are facilitated through the technical conference in that case. So we see this synchronizing well, we believe.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Any other questions from the members? No. Any comments? Ms. Riley's fidgeting. It's just a work group.
Yes, I understand. I understand. Understood. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, Nicole Riley with the Data Center Coalition. For the third policy recommendation to convene an SCC work group on load flexibility, while DCC supports this approach, we did want to highlight one particular concern. First, as I mentioned at our last meeting, the data center industry is not monolithic. They vary in size, business model, and computing operations. And as such, the ways in which data centers can participate in demand response or other flexibility programs vary greatly by facility and data center operator. DCC is concerned with the suggestion that the work group's charge would include a determination of whether participation in demand response programs should be mandatory. Data centers support many essential services, and mandatory data response programs may require data centers to curtail energy usage. Therefore, proposed solutions cannot be one size fits all, and mandating load flexibility is not actual flexibility and overlooks all of these important operational and environmental considerations. So with that, we would respectfully request that mandatory participation be removed from the work group's charge and that existing firm load service tiers be preserved for all customers in a non-discriminatory manner. We instead recommend that CEUR identify what changes, if any, utilities have made to existing demand response programs and further study ways to improve, expand, and modernize demand response program offerings. Overall, these recommendations are reasonable and measured at a high level. We support the exploration and implementation of voluntary, well-structured demand response and load flexibility programs that large load customers can elect to participate in, that allocate risk appropriately, provide compensation for costs associated with participation, and are not unduly discriminatory, and allow customers to meet their sustainability commitments. Thank you, and we look forward to continuing discussions on this important issue. Thank you.
And Nicole, where in the, I saw in the cover memo, it says something about mandatory, but where in the bill text is that? Do you know?
Yeah, it's, I believe, let's see here. I think
It's 43.
Yeah. Right, it was like the fourth bullet, participation requirements in demand response program, which
I see.
with respect to whether it's voluntary or
Yeah, I got it.
mandatory.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, Nicole, let me put it this way. So, I understand that a lot of the existing legacy, whatever you want to call them, as built-out data centers already were built out before anybody was even thinking about demand response. And so there could be some serious, technical complications, including them.
Right.
But my recollection is I've read somewhere that some of the new ones are being designed with more of that in mind, given the grid problems that we're looking at. Is that not an unfair statement, or?
I don't think that's unfair. I mean, I think a lot of companies are using all types of innovation to try to, look at their energy efficiency and their energy management.
Or provide their own power on site,
Right.
et cetera. And hopefully one day we'll have SMRs and we can just put an SMR in the middle of the data center complex and power 10 of them at once or something like that. But yeah, right, problem solved.
There you go.
Let's get some fusion, knock on wood. In any event. And so I don't read this as necessarily, the way I took this language was that we're trying to figure out whether to have a system that mandates certain demand response policies or has or have something that creates incentives to induce demand response, or whether we do something that requires somebody to create something that people can voluntarily play in if they want to choose to. But I didn't see just exploring the concept as necessarily signaling that we want to mandate anything yet, because part of the problem is we don't, it's, you got these legacy data centers, you mandate it on them,
Right.
they might have to leave, right? So that's the way I took it. And those are consequences that we want to understand before we start voting on policy. That's kind of how I took the language, but
Okay.
is that,
I think that may give some more comfort to our members, but I think that's always just been their concern is when you start thinking about mandating these types of programs.
yeah, I get it.
So,
I understand.
yep.
Anybody else have
Thank you.
questions for Nicole? Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
Off the hot seat. Yep, see it. Okay, anybody else have comments? I just can't believe with all the energy out there about data centers right now, nobody has anything to say when we give them a microphone. So, okay.
Good thing you're not in Prince William County.
Yeah, right. If we had this hearing in Loudoun or Prince William, yeah, we'd have a line of people, right.
I'm looking
Okay.
at my new friend Kevin over here. No. Okay, so did you want to take action on this or
Hey.
save it for later?
London King, you wanted to vote on all these separately. What do you guys want to do with this one? I mean, demand response is something we have to look at. And this just looks at it from my point of view.
You know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to throw a no vote up just so we can make sure we look at this voluntary and mandatory. I just want a little bit clearer language on that, so I'll throw a no vote up just to put it on.
Okay.
Put it on top of everybody's mind, I guess. Or
I
they might
am-
just say I'm crazy. I don't know.
I am, I think, looking at this and seeing the 6-month space for the work group gives me a little concern, but I would like to see the larger Energy Commission / CEUR take a look at this.
Okay, so you have a motion to endorse it for the full commission to consider.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, Mr. Browder, you're allowed to make motions too,
or second.
I think I can second it too in a subcommittee at least. You need a second? Yeah, she does. Louise is out there. Louise, do you want to second it? Senator Lucas. Browder's going to do it if you don't, I think. I'll do it if I can. I don't know.
I'll second it.
Okay. Is Lucas still on? Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded. You were going to say something, Browder, or no?
No, I mean, obviously, this is an important issue to be looked at, needs to be looked at. The questions are, you want a work group? We had comments earlier about work groups and who's in charge of the work group, and get 30 people there and it's 30 opinions, and, what do you do with that product at the end of the day? The Commission's looking at it with their technical conference. I don't know if they'll issue any kind of order or report on that, but just,
Okay.
that's my
To me,
observation.
this was one of the JLARC recommendations. And usually when JLARC says something, it usually means it's pretty, or doing something about demand response was a JLARC recommendation. And this sort of gets us more information to figure out whether we should do something, I think is all this does. So, any other comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
One no,
One opposed.
or one not really opposed.
One abstention.
Yeah, whatever.
Abstention?
Abstention, yeah.
Okay, calm abstention. Okay, last proposal, Carrie.
Yes, so this policy proposal is relating again to demand response, but it has to do with how the utilities are developing their policies for curtailment proceedings. So this would be 2 levels. One, a requirement for utilities to develop curtailment policies, but the policy itself would enable voluntary action from the utility customers.
So this is a bill to require each utility to create a voluntary demand response program for
Emergency curtailment. Or
emergency
sorry,
curtailment if there's
not
like
emergency, for curtailment.
okay. Curtailment's the same thing as demand response, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So this is where the timeline also picks up. that the, kind of skipped the end, that the State Corporation Commission would initiate a rulemaking proceeding to implement the provisions, including the form and procedure for electric load curtailment policies, no later than December 1, 2026. So that's sort of, looking to the end of this process. But this policy would mandate that the utilities that have, and I'll read on line 7, with one or more retail service customers that has a consistent electric demand of 50 megawatts or greater shall develop an electric load curtailment policy for voluntary participation by any retail service customer within the utility's certificated service territory. So it is looking at a certain set of utilities that have customers that's at least one customer over 50 megawatts. So this would not apply to all utilities, Mr. Chairman, but it would be mandatory for that utility, if they have a customer over 50 megawatts, to have this policy in place. They would present that plan to the State Corporation Commission by November 1st, 2027. So this picks up after the SCC has gone through any rulemaking proceedings relating to demand response curtailment tariffs, and the utility would submit their demand response curtailment policy, and then the State Corporation Commission would evaluate and initiate a rulemaking proceeding to implement this act by December of 2026. March 1st of 2028, Mr. Chairman, would be when the SCC final order is due in terms of finalizing that policy.
So, given we just passed or endorsed a concept of having a work group working on demand response that's going to give us recommendations for the 2027 session, why wouldn't we also have them look at whether to do this? I mean, is there some reason we need to pass? I mean, this bill doesn't do anything until November of 2027, right? So, I mean, why wouldn't we have the work group just look at that, figure out whether this is also a good idea too, and if we adopt that next session, it can still be effective November 1, 2027. It seems it's tied together, kind of.
They are tied together. They were designed in concert with one another, but they could, in theory, stand alone.
Okay. I just don't know why we would, if we're going to have a big work group look at demand response, I'm not sure why we'd put something in code about it that's applicable a year and a half from now when we're already having a work group look at it.
They'll just have the same work group.
Yeah.
Anna, do you
Am I
want to
missing
respond to
something?
this question?
Well, the idea of having the work group before actually having utilities do their curtailment programs is such that the work group information, whatever findings come out of that, would feed into how the utilities are building and constructing those programs.
I get it, but the work group might come and say, hey, you need to amend 56.2, 252 that you just put on the books as part of their recommendations, right? I'm not clear why you have to have the statute on the books if you haven't even gotten your work group results yet. That's what I'm sort of scratching my head.
So,
King?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
what I think I'm hearing you say is that the previous work group, would you like to
Look at this.
to add something that directs them to look at curtailment and make a recommendation?
Yeah, well, curtailment is demand response. It's the same thing.
Same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that there is an interest in somehow combining these two versus putting the cart before the horse, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so my request would be to have Carrie look at these two and come up with a new draft for you.
Yeah. It just seems to me it ought to be just one thing, and the work group also ought to evaluate whether the policy reflected in this proposed bill ought to also be enacted into law.
Mr. Chairman and Delegate Menon King, we will work with DLS to envision how these could be tied together more explicitly.
Yeah.
And ensure that the work group recommendations could tie into how the utilities develop a curtailment
Yeah.
policy. So happy to do that and understand maybe what challenges that would present from the drafting perspective. But that makes sense to us. We develop the timelines to work in concert with one another.
Okay.
I think, one, we're really exploring what is the feasibility of an individual customer to be able to participate in demand response, such that when the utility defines their demand response program that has voluntary participation, we really understand how those data centers and other large load customers can participate and what that would look like. So I definitely take your point in terms of how to combine them and have one feed into the next.
Okay. Okay. I don't think we need a motion on it. You guys, that's not really something to approve exactly, so it's all. Okay, but we're gonna see it. We'll combine it all for.
Are you asking for a motion again?
I don't think so, Senator Lucas. I think we're good. I think we're just gonna have Carrie combine it with the one we just passed for
Yes,
Thursday.
yes,
So,
Mr.
right?
Chairman, we'll work with DLS to come back with a revised version tying these together
Got it.
for your full
Okay.
commission meeting. Thank you.
No, I don't think we need a motion, but thank you, Senator. So I think we're good to go.
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't sure if you wanted to accept any public comment on the curtailment proceeding.
Oh, that bill we just did? Does anybody have any thoughts about the bill we just decided we decided to combine, or et cetera? Nicole, no? Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, so I think that's our entire agenda, I think. We're gonna have the full commission meet on Thursday. I've already warned everybody, it is going to be a long meeting. It could be, I think, at least 3 hours, maybe 4. We might take a break for everybody to run downstairs and grab lunch or something in the middle of it, so be prepared. How many bills do we have to endorse?
I don't have that memorized.
Okay. It's at least a dozen, I think. So, anyway, be ready and do a lot of work on Thursday. Thank you for coming today. We're adjourned.
This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306. Did you know live Senate video is now available at youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia? This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B306.